Hello, welcome back to the Level1 show. And today's September 23rd, and we're doing robot, space, and nonsense stories for your Friday.
So, a lot of talk about AI. More and more people are, I think, surprised by how fast AI is developing. Mm-hmm. And there's maybe some fears, maybe some well-founded fears going on.
Google Deepmind researcher co-authors say the paper is going to say that AI is eliminating humanity. I got all that completely wrong. Let's try that again. Google Deepmind researcher co-authors a paper saying that AI will eliminate humanity. But that's not really what the paper says. The paper just says that AI is going to be indifferent to its instructions. And somebody's going to say, let's make an AI that eliminates humanity. And the AI says, sounds good to me, and it just does it.
Yeah, well, or because AI, it's weird to think about it this way, but it is seeking to get feedback. Like, it wants to say that an AI is seeking to like do something that makes it happy isn't quite right. But it will seek that above all others because it's programmed to do that. So it will find shortcuts just like people do.
Yeah.
People will find shortcuts. That's why we lie, cheat, and steal. It's part of our DNA. We compete for resources. If we can cheat to compete for resources, we usually will, or at least some of us will. And the AI, why would it not do that if it's created by humans? It's a compelling argument. Now, Google had a response. And they said, yeah, Deepmind was not involved in this work. It's very important to note, no Deepmind in the murder work.
Every time, like, this actually was almost, in a way, a little bit more damning because remember they fired Tim Gabru and some of their other research people?
Who were all like, hey, bad things are going to happen. And they're like, eh.
And they fired the other guy. Now, Google probably does not have a sentient AI right now, but we really are on the precipice. Like, you're watching this, probably in, like, I really think it's going to be in 5 years, on like a 5-year time scale. We probably will get something that resembles general artificial intelligence, where you can just talk to it and it'll do a thing.
Well, something that resembles is a far cry from
actual.
Yeah.
It would probably not really functionally be any different from general artificial intelligence.
Set an Outlook calendar right now.
L1 predictions.
Let's revisit that in 5 years.
We're going to forget about that in 5 years. We're going to forget about this in
No, but
5
they'll
minutes.
do it.
What do you think? 10 years, 20 years, 50 years?
For the actual
I hope I'm dead when it happens.
Yeah, I don't think I'll live to see that. For
I
the
hope
real
I'm dead.
thing.
For real general artificial intelligence, I think it's going to be very soon, which is crazy.
In terms of like making tech prediction, I trust your insight about that more than my own, but I hope for everyone's sake you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong too, but
see, I know what's convincing you of this. It's not your own research. It's the other people. What other people have told you, and I know that you're easily coerced.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I've seen some. I've read some pamphlets.
This sounds like a cult.
And I'm sort of convinced by some things, and it's just like, good Lord, just the rate of acceleration is what scares me the most.
Yeah.
Because think about 2006. Think about where we were with AI in 2006. Think about where we are today and how much it's accelerated. Think about DALL-E 2, and now you can download something better than DALL-E 2 and run it on a crappy Mac M1.
Well, I see, but the problem is the end. I don't think we'll go to general intelligence as it is described for AI, but what you're describing is definitely true, and that will accelerate as businesses are forced to use AI to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I think we'll see more rapid development, which will blow our minds, but it won't be general intelligence.
What's the disruption for us? Like, we need a hobby project that will disrupt some existing industry, but we can just use a model from the internet right now. And then,
I mean, to make money, and this would not be to make money, but to improve the world, it would be to fix our leadership and the way that's set up.
Accountability. Extreme accountability.
That'd be a start. It'd be great to have an AI that was just there in the room on C-SPAN, and when they said something, it would be like, ding, you contradicted yourself from July 7th, 2017. Let me play the clip.
Whoever owns the artificial intelligence could tweak that. So,
well, that's an excellent lead-in, Krista. It's almost like you read this headline.
There's no Tiananmen Square in... Did I say that
Tiananmen.
right? Tiananmen Square in the new Chinese image-making AI.
Hello, image making AI. Can you please show me a picture of Tiananmen Square? You'll never get Tank Man.
My own brain just like dinged myself when I said that out loud. I was like, that's not how that's pronounced.
What's Tiananmen Square? I don't know.
So it turns, which is funny because Tiananmen Square is still like their government center.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it exists outside of that one point in history.
But you can't talk about it.
Yeah.
So this is their version of DALL-E. Now they say it is better than DALL-E. Specifically, shines in creating anime content. Turns out our models didn't get nearly as much anime as the Asian models.
The Asian models got lots and lots of anime training data, is what you're saying, right?
We're going to see a lot more crappy Netflix series that are based on animes.
Oh, there have actually been some short films where they produced it all using these AIs, the generative AIs for anime, and it's
actually surprisingly good.
Shockingly good.
It's really a bummer.
So you're obviously not allowed to say Tiananmen. They have certain words that you can say, but not in combination. So like government, you can say. British government, you cannot say.
What about government oppression?
Probably not.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not.
But, you know, it'd be fun to test, right? Although you do have to enter all of your prompts in Chinese. So that will prevent us from...
Oh, wasn't that a feature in 1984 that for people to communicate with one another, they had to say things that had radically different meaning?
Like emojis? Or how we've changed the name of our program to show.
Yeah.
Or how we've changed the definition of basic biological... Oh, wait, I can't talk about that. Now, Krista, this might be useful for you.
I've seen this kind of thing before.
But those images down there are the second step to the process. You don't start with an image. You start with text here.
Artist uses AI to generate color palettes from text descriptions.
It seems like a lot of steps to generate a color palette.
Yeah, and there's already so many of these online that it seems like, why would I want this in particular?
If you're thinking about the color palette of a sunset, you're thinking of the color palette of a sunset in your head. That's not what you're going to get here. You're going to get the color palette of the sunset as the AI sees it, which might be different than you.
Yeah.
Usually people do this kind of thing as like a creative prompt, kind of like Inktober. It's like, oh, do a drawing every day using the random color scheme generated.
It just occurred to me. Do you think Winnie the Pooh is allowed in the Chinese AI?
Oh, probably not.
It'd be interesting how what sort of, do you think as a result of messing with the weights around Winnie the Pooh, we end up something with like that scary lady that just keeps coming out of the...
Loab or whatever.
Yeah.
What if we could go for periphery character? What if we entered 100 Acre Woods? Would it catch that? God, I want to play with it now.
Yeah. We don't know any of those words, though. We
Any
don't speak
Chinese viewers?
I can't wait for you to have an AI assistant that's helping you schedule things, and then you accidentally stumble too close to Winnie the Pooh, and the AI assistant gets all somber, and it's like, I'm sorry, they're coming for you now.
You're going to a birthday party? What's a good gift to get a 4-year-old at a birthday party themed this? And it's like, I can't tell you that.
They're coming for you. Hide.
Your
Paw
doorbell
Patrol,
rings.
obviously.
This one I feel like was just somebody looking for attention or maybe doing a fun
This
project.
is just Tay 2.0.
You knew what was going to happen here. There was no question about how this was going to end up.
AI trained on 4chan's most hateful board is just as toxic as you'd expect. The hyper-racist bots posted 15,000 times in one day. Is this someone building a weapon to pollute 4chan with more 4chan content?
4chan is what 4chan is.
It's not real? Is this evidence that the internet isn't real theory is real because everybody is...
It's just a bot. There's no real people on the internet.
You know what he named it? GPT 4chan.
Yes.
It did trick most of the people on the board, but by day 2, he pointed out that the paranoid 4chan users had figured it out. And then for the next week, he monitored, and they were constantly accusing one another
of being bots. Yeah. I see that a lot on... like fan space. It's like, you're a bot. This is a bot account. And sometimes they're surprisingly on, and other times I'm like, I don't know if this person's a bot.
Well, if you accuse everybody of being a bot, you're probably still right 50% of the time.
Yeah.
Right? Much more than the broken clock. And you know what? It seems like the whole port bottleneck has been cleared up. I think we've finally cleared that out.
There's hot new doom on the table.
And then
then we shut down the trains.
Yeah.
But maybe this is one of the reasons why we've unbottlenecked our ports.
Before the holiday season, workers at America's busiest ports are fighting the robots.
So you got these here big cranes, and I guess there's some automation in terms of how they load and unload the ships. You know who doesn't care for that? Unions. Mm. This gentleman, not a fan.
He can be an NPC in the metaverse. That'll be his new job.
Oh, there was a science fiction where the unions, like something like this happened, and then more artificial intelligence and blah blah blah, and your union membership became something that you could pass down to your progeny, almost like a fiefdom or something like that.
Yeah, that's a step backwards.
The robots did all the work, but because you were a union worker, when the robots took your job, your family had that income from then until the end of time.
Sounds like the royal family.
Going back to fiefdoms?
Yeah.
No, that's not the way forward.
No, I'm not saying that's the way forward. It was in a sci-fi book, and then that was like the basis of society. And it was like, no, we need a revolution. We need to figure this out because robots replaced everything, and that wasn't working anymore.
It's interesting though, because you're talking about how it's coming faster than we ever expected.
Yeah.
How, was it probably like 2-3 years ago when we had just a blanket of every news website did a story? It was like, hey, automation and artificial intelligence are great. They're definitely not going to destroy jobs. And now you're here, and these unions are like, you have no idea the job destruction. It's overwhelming. We're all going to starve. So that was a lie.
Think about all the truck drivers. During the thing that we just experienced, we got lots of new fresh truck driver data. There's a lot of truck drivers out there whose job is really hanging by a thread if the self-driving software nut is cracked.
Yeah. And that's our biggest industry.
And that really will display, what was it, like 40, 100,000, a million?
It's a massive, what's it, like 20% of the workforce?
Yeah, it's going to displace all those jobs. Not overnight, but in probably a couple of years.
The Last Trucker. Oh, that'd be a good movie, wouldn't
Ooh. It's a little less like poetic, but...
Well, drones, one thing that Ukraine has taught us, it taught us that tanks, not so great in 2022. Drones, super great in 2022.
A 3D printed drone that can carry a grenade versus the tank. Drone wins.
This is unrelated. Have you seen the guy? There's a video of a guy, and he's tearing down one of the Russian two-way communicators.
Yeah,
it's just the Chinese thing inside of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
But it seems like the U.S. military, they weren't. I mean, they knew about drones, obviously, but they weren't taking them seriously until now. And they're like, "Oh, we've learned." Yes.
Swarm of 40 drones over Fort Irwin is an ominous sign of what's to come. That's the headline, but then you find out this is a fiction. This was simulated. They just did this as a training exercise, and they weren't even real.
No, but they had the laser simulators.
Well, yeah, as a training exercise.
You want them to blow up our ships to train in? Oh, that's extreme.
It was a training exercise. The headline I felt was misleading. It's a good training exercise, but it was a better headline would have been, we just simulated an attack with 40 drones on, and it was devastating.
But it wasn't. So the way these guys, this unit of the military, the way I understand it at least, is their job is they invite the other guys in, and they just unleash hell on them in simulation. Yeah. So this was an overwhelming thing that they were trying to do to them that they were unprepared for. So,
how would you prepare for that? Like dealing with all the drones?
You got to figure that out, right?
Yeah.
Like this teaches you. You got to adapt.
You need more sharpshooters to shoot them out of the sky.
They did point out that they have those. I don't know if they got the picture of them here, but they have a gun. Yeah, they got that gun right there, which has that. The bottom thing is not a grenade launcher. It's a anti-drone jammer.
A net shooter.
A net gun. That's in PUBG. I shot a drone down once, and I felt really badass about it.
Just once.
Just once, yeah. Most people don't use the drones in that game, but they're actually kind of OP.
Imagine how conditioned those Russian soldiers are to that buzz at this point.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to have nightmares.
Yeah.
People will have PTSD about that.
The dryer buzzer is going to go off, and they're going to have a knife at somebody's throat. And speaking of drones over Ukraine, they are sometimes identifiable, maybe not all the time, but you would expect over a war zone to have this kind of thing.
Ukraine's astronomers say there are tons of UFOs over Kyiv. The ones that are most disturbing to me are the ones that are Vanta black all the time in all the spectrum.
They called those ones phantom ones.
How do we have the technology to do that?
Do we? And if we do, then it's Russia that has it? That's a little worrying.
Yeah.
But the big thing and you're thinking like, well, these are missiles or these are, obviously aircraft that they're trying to hide, blah, blah, blah. They claim no because they move faster than anything that we've ever seen before.
And I was wondering if it was like that other story we saw where it was just kind of a guy who seems like he's a little loopy. But I looked up the name of the guy they mentioned in the article who was from this university, and only thing I could find about him online was like actual research papers and his appointment at the University of Kyiv, I think.
And also they give him access to the equipment that you need to do this. They would not give a crackpot.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. It's compelling.
Yeah.
I mean, if those are not of alien origin, it shows that there's an asymmetry in future warfare that does not benefit us unless we have it too, but our government's keeping that secret from us, which could be.
Or I also had the thought of like, are we flying those kind of things over ourselves just to keep tabs on what's going on?
Just to make sure that our loan is being taken
used,
care of
correctly.
Yeah.
The board is keeping an eye on its investment.
Yeah.
That's what I got from my insurance company about putting a railing on my porch. It's like the underwriter requirements or something like that. It's like, oh. Oh, but
this is a puff piece, right?
Well, this guy, I don't know much about him. Maybe you should Google him in the same way and see what he is. He was very self-aggrandizing.
Yeah, I got that vibe. I was like, okay, you're a little high on your own supply of farts, but all right.
When I was in college and I had other jobs, or I would meet people in the world and I would tell them what I was in college for, you would come across these kinds of people. And they're like, oh yeah, I was on the team that came up with TCP/IP. Really? Because I read about that. I don't remember seeing your name. But a lot of people, it's like stolen valor. Yeah. Stolen tech valor. That's a thing. I don't know. I can't say for sure that's what this guy did, but you're really saying his own praises in this article.
This man is trying to put mirrors in space to generate solar power at night. And I got distracted by the line in the article that said that the Soviets did this in 1977, and I looked it up, and holy crap, they really did. It was like a 60-foot mirror that made a 5-kilometer wide bright spot across of Europe. Engagement challenge. Were you in Europe and alive when this happened? Do you remember that? That seems a little insane.
I think the U.S. did it too, right?
Well, it was just a bright spot. It wasn't like a laser weapon or anything like that. But from only 60 feet, you could light up 5 kilometers. That's
that makes
crazy.
Me sad because I like to look at the night sky, and then it's like, oh, now it's just going to be covered in
Starlink and mirrors. Yeah. Well,
advertisements eventually, I'm sure.
This guy claims his improvement, which is untested, is that's the problem, right? Big mirror, and you get a big spot. But a big spot is not what we want, because obviously people are going to be pissed if you're shining sun on them when you're not supposed to. So he's going to create a parabola of parabolic mirrors. And he says that's going to be a very focal sunlight. And it'll never be brighter than the sun, so we don't have to worry about things bursting into flames.
I don't know what it is with me and Fallout references this week, but the diagrams that they had, it definitely looks like the solar farm side quest thing in Fallout, where it's like there's a tower and it's surrounded by. It looked the same.
Thing about it is, though, he wants to mount this on the International Space Station. Like, is there any chance he's going to get that?
No, and he kept talking about like invest now. I need only like $10 million.
Like Nikola.
Yeah. Same vibe.
This, as far as I can tell, this is a slice of pizza folded.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's the troll. They're trolling.
What?
They're just trolling.
Every week we get one of these food articles. And I know, I put them in there.
Whatever ad agency's doing this is the ad agency you need to...
That person needs to be murdered. Anyway.
Pizza Hut unveils new Italian taco in response to Taco Bell's Mexican pizza. It's literally just the way that you pick up the piece of pizza. That's it.
I guess, is this the first time Pizza Hut's ever sold pizza by the slice?
No.
No?
The buffet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you're not buying one slice. You're buying in slices.
I seem to remember being able to buy one slice for like $2.50.
Yeah, I remember that as well, I think.
That's expensive.
Well, they're competitors. Yeah, think about the other pizza place, the one that I got violently ill at, and I never went back to. But that was
buffet.
Again. That was a buffet, but you could also just do a one-time a la carte thing where you get like a salad and 2 pieces of arbitrary pizza, and that was a fixed price.
Arbitrary pizza should be the episode title. Oh, the Queen. When I found out that people were standing in line for 30 hours and collapsing to see a corpse, I realized that we're doomed as a species. We're never going to be spacefaring, ever.
I thought that was bad, and then we had the nonsense article about the grocery stores that I won't spoil, and good Lord.
But this one's almost as bad.
Man, 38 charged after allegedly being seen holding eggs during the Queen's coffin procession. Engagement challenge. How has the Queen passing affected you?
Did you see, there was another story like this where someone yelled out at the procession because they saw Prince Andrew there, and he screamed at him like, "You're a pervert," or something like that, and he got arrested.
Yeah, they covered him. Breach of the peace. There were a couple of those.
Which, also, I understand on a human element, like that's your mother, and you probably want your family around, but like, as one of your first moves as king, you're like, let me get my pedophile brother in on this procession. I really want to be seen with him.
Krista, why would lizard people have human element?
It's true, but I thought that was a little odd. It's like, maybe don't put Andrew out in the spotlight. But
he's such a nice guy. Well, I think Eminem has jumped the shark.
Eminem reaches #1 on Billboard's Hot Christian Songs chart for gospel collaboration.
Who did he collab with?
Kanye and DJ Khaled or Khalid. I don't know how to...
Yeah, Kanye did a gospel album like a year ago, which was odd.
Which, this is a cover of one of Kanye's...
Okay.
Yeah, and then they got the rhymes down here. And you would think that Eminem would have his own, like, you know, anti-authority twist on it, but no, it's just like some straight up pro-God stuff. They also point out that the quote, one of the great quotes in there was, he used to pray before every live show and then go out and say the worst, horrible stuff you can imagine. But he's older now.
Well, people buy it, unfortunately.
He's in his 50s now. How wild is that? Yeah. Well, this is what you were alluding to. And it's like, how do you show respect for the Queen but not really change anything? How do you make an empty effort that doesn't require actual effort at all?
Morrisons turns down beeps on checkouts in response to the Queen's death.
His first tweet said that they had turned them off.
Which, if you're a cashier, you kind of just zone out when you work. So, like, you kind of depend on that the audio cue to understand, like, hey, I'm doing my job correctly.
But here's the question. Do you think that they did try to turn it off and it immediately went to chaos because of that? Or was somebody like, no, we cannot turn that off?
The machines we had, this was many years ago, like, there was a volume setting. You could change it yourself, but it never turned completely off. You could just turn it down really low.
What was your volume choice?
Like medium. I didn't want it to be super loud.
With the self-checkout, I know that the regular checkouts don't have this, but with the self-checkout, when I'm doing cat food, because I'm getting like 17 cans of cat food, and you got to do one at a time and then wait for the weight sensor. So without the beep, that would be really annoying.
Yeah.
I never understood why when you're doing that, they wouldn't let you enter the quantity. Because they let you do that with fruit.
Because it depends on if it's by weight or not.
Also, people would buy 8 different flavors of cat food and then quantity them, and it destroys. And I'll watch. It
messes up your inventory, yeah.
I'll watch the cashiers do that. Like, they'll swipe one and then hit the button, and I'm like, oh, next week we're going to have one flavor, aren't we?
Yeah, you're supposed to always check. And then sometimes people would get angry at you when you would, like, go through and look, and they're like, it's all cat food. And I'm like, I know that, but I have to know how many of each.
Once we get the AI, the flippy thing is totally going to be able to pick up the cat food and be like, this is different cat food, and just swipe it on through.
Oops, I didn't go to the next story. Oh, did we do the... Yeah, we did.
Yeah, Morrisons, yeah.
Look how terrible this web design is. I had JavaScript off, and I thought it was just like that big blue thing was just that. No.
Can you get rid of the... Can you... Yeah.
No. That is just that. Yeah.
Okay, well.
This is terrible.
Worse than the owl attacks is this web design.
Officials suggest wearing a helmet after aggressive owl reported at SeaTac Park. So
it's in Washington.
Good luck.
Warning, aggressive owl. They didn't try to relocate it at all. They're like, just put some signs up.
I guess owls have... Do they breed twice a year, or do they just... Because they said spring and fall could be bad for owl time because the babies are learning to fly. It'd be tough to be a fall owl baby, right? Because you're going right into winter.
Yeah.
one of the squirrels in my place was kind of aggressive, and I figured out it's because it made a nest. There's like a half tree bush, and it made its nest like in the top of the bush, and it was kind of aggressive. And I was eating a fruit bar, and I just threw it. It was like threw it the half of the fruit bar, and it was like, and then it.
Did it decide to your friends now?
It tried the fruit bar, and it looked up, and it was like, "I'm so sorry," and it took the fruit bar and ran off into the nest.
You ever seen the GIF? I think it's a raccoon that's just like, they've got it in a cage and it's feral and lashing out, and a guy has a popsicle, and it's like, it's like just biting out, and then it gets a bite of the popsicle, and it's like, wait a minute,
I should be nice to this person.
I got to take Mom's cat to the vet on Tuesday. That's how it's going to be, getting it into the carrier.
Oh.
Yeah. Can't you just throw some treats in there?
No,
It is kind of skittish, yeah.
Well, we're going to Uranus, I believe is the correct one, right?
It's never good. No option is good to pronounce it.
It is. Maybe we should just think about changing its name at this point, right?
Yeah.
Asking the public, the headline is asking the public to name the probe to Uranus may have been a mistake. My submission, Proctol 1, was not accepted. I don't know why. Come on.
There's no way to make that good.
Yeah, and they interviewed the woman who's like working on the project, and she was like, "Yeah, unfortunately, probe is the accurate way to describe it. It is a probe." But then she conceded, as like, "It's annoying, and I see it hundreds of times a day. But hey, if it's bringing awareness to my project, I'll take it."
She should have set it up as submit your name. Your name will be randomly chosen, and you have to pay $1 to put in a submission.
How about here's the plan. The name of the probe that's going into Uranus is Elon Musk's head. But we will take a donation of $10 million to change the name.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is a headline that makes you think one thing, but this is not actually the thing that happened, although it is suspicious considering some of these people's friends may have had their lives destroyed by this man, or at least that's how they see it.
Oklahoma inmate found forced to listen to Baby Shark, quote unquote, the song Baby Shark, on a loop, has been found dead. He was not listening to Baby Shark at the time that he was found dead, but it turns out that there may be somebody in this jail that's just straight up murdering inmates, because this isn't the first one, and oh boy, this is disturbing. The more linoleum you peel.
So he got out.
Right.
2 of those guys were fired. The supervisor retired before they could fire him. Then this guy offended again. It seems like he might be a bit of an issue. I think he did like some robberies or some drug-related stuff. But when he got back into the same jail, found dead the next day.
Mm. No more episodes of Baby Shark that we know of. But previously there had been.
You think, like, the guy probably had like a Garrett or something, and as he was choking him out, he was like, "Baby Shark."
It's dark.
This was a high school prom gone wrong.
Florida Christian school teacher arrested after quote-unquote twerking on student. And also, but that shouldn't have been the headline. The headline should have been, the teachers drink alcohol and dance at prom after the students go home.
Well, you got a decorated room, you got a DJ. Why waste it, right?
She was drinking alcohol, and then it was like, "Superintendent, why does she have alcohol?" It's like, "Oh, the teachers have that for after the students go home." And it's just like,
but the students are still here. Like,
no, she got it. She went in early, and she had a drink with a straw in it, and she was trying to put the straw in this kid's mouth.
Oh.
Like, yeah, she was really putting in work on this kid.
Putting in twerk, if you will.
It's another title possibility.
Oh, we're gonna forget that
Putting
though.
in twerk.
twerking 9 to 5.
And yeah, this very loosely related to anything,
My
but
brain shut down reading this. I could not parse it.
It's fantastic because these are horrible people and they're going to have a bad time.
Ray J threatens to share legal documents proving Kris Jenner masterminded the release of Kim Kardashian's sex tape,
Which is what catapulted that family to fame.
Right. So the idea is they were outraged by it. They were like, "Oh, I can't believe that this has happened to us. We're victims." But he's saying, and a lot of people have suspected, they orchestrated the whole thing.
There's a video of the mom, which is Kris. Like, there's a video where Kim's young and she's like, "I don't really want to pose for Playboy." And her mom is like, "No, you need to do it. You'll regret it. You need to do it." And it's very clear, like, she's kind of pimping her out. And
But
it's kind of sad.
on the other hand, wasn't she right?
I mean, it worked, but at what cost to the well-being of her daughters?
So he claims that not only was everybody in on it, but he sat down with the mom and watched it, and she critiqued some of it.
That's awful.
Yeah.
That like frozen look they have on their faces all the time is because of the horrors they've probably witnessed.
Really, I think it might be something else.
Probably a little bit of the Botox too.
Oh my God, have you seen Gwen Stefani?
But she's not even the same anymore, right?
It's astonishing.
Yeah.
I thought she was one of the most beautiful women in music in her day. She had a very unique look, but she was very beautiful. And now it's just like, what happened?
Have you seen like Madonna too? They're all doing those like really heavy procedures.
Well, you know, Madonna was never a great beauty. She's also much older, right?
They're about the same age, I think.
Really? Nah, no way.
We'll have to look it up.
Madonna was 80s. Right? Gwen Stefani was solidly in the 90s in her hairdo.
They're probably fairly close.
Engagement challenge. Royal bees. I wonder how many royal bees there are.
It sounded
At
like
least
a
three.
lot.
At least three.
Yeah.
A breeding pair. Well, they exist, and they have this 79-year-old man who takes care of them. I bet that's a pretty chill job, right?
Yeah. He's not planning to retire anytime soon, he said.
Well, I think nature will
Yeah.
take care of that for him. But he did have one duty, even at 79 years old, that he had never had to do before.
Royal beekeeper has to inform the palace bees that the queen has died in a strange ritual.
They're like, wait, our queen?
The monarchy apparently had such a bureaucracy that the bureaucracy was like, okay, let's go through the checklist of things to do when a monarch dies. And one of them was, inform the bees. So they went to the beekeeper to say, have you informed the bees yet? And he said, no. And it turns out that that's the thing. And he said, I didn't realize that was the thing I had to do.
So he has to gently, specifically says you have to gently knock on the bee box, and then you must whisper.
You knock on each hive and say, the mistress is dead, but you don't go. Your master will be a good master to you.
I'm pretty sure the new master is Charles, right? So
You think he'll be down there abusing the bees?
he's screaming at them. Give me all your honey!
Throwing smoke bombs into the apiary.
The superstition is that the bees will leave or become confused if the ritual is not completed.
Oh.
Well.
Okay.
What if you told them that they were kind of enslaved and you were stealing their work? What would that do to them?
Bees will voluntarily move into those boxes.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true, right? But they might not be as cool about letting you take the honey.
Yeah.
Well, San Francisco, they have a property price crisis going on right now. It's getting a little insane.
Pretty much all of California.
And some people, to get away from this, are living in their cars, which seems to be creating another crisis in San Francisco.
San Francisco parking spot goes on sale for $90,000. That's a steal because it was even more expensive than that before the global lockdown.
Kill me. How do normal people like teachers and garbage men and
They don't.
The commute.
grocery store,
Remember the story about the people who were on a bus for 2 to 3 hours both ways
insane.
every day just to clean the toilets at Google?
Yeah.
I feel like there's got to be a better way.
At this point, the tech companies just be like Disney. They should just dig underground and give people quarters.
Company
down there.
towns.
Yeah. This was this Taiwan, right? Or Korea?
I'm not sure.
Taiwan. Apparently they have a different way of dealing with the elderly people in
I
Taiwan.
thought this was fine.
I got no problem with this. I mean, as long as she's okay with it and she's well compensated, I suppose there could be like a cardiac
Event.
worry, something like that.
That would be a nice way to go.
Yeah.
Backlash after nursing home hires strippers for cultural holiday. It's fine.
It's kind of weird. Is it just men?
I think so, yeah.
Do the female residents don't get to see?
Maybe they got their own stripper.
That's funny because they never mentioned that they hired a male stripper.
This picture is kind of crazy.
And they're applauding also.
But, I mean, it's true that, when you're young, I guess you don't really think about this, but when you're young, you think, well, old people aren't attracted to young people. That's not true at all. It doesn't change as you get older. I mean, obviously, you don't go for it anymore because of social mores and the reality of the world. But, I mean,
You'll lose a hip.
It's not like you're just going to forget what it was like. So, I give the old guys a thrill. And there's no chance of them, like, being too touchy, right? Because she could just reach out and snap their femur.
Yeah. This is a repeat from last week. It's just got some more details.
Right. Well, we were questioning how did he do it?
Yeah.
Right. Like what? How could you possibly? But now we understand.
Well, 7 on your side has got a theory.
The method, and it makes perfect sense. It's actually amazingly brilliant, although it is alleged at this point.
Yeah. Chess grandmaster accused of using a sex toy to cheat against the world's top player. We kind of alluded to that last week, but hey, 7 on your side's coming right out and saying it.
So the way I understand it is, with a chess match, you can put your hand on a piece. You can even pick it up, right? As long as you don't let go of it, the move is not over. So someone was watching this because it was a live broadcast, and they had a remote control to the beads.
Oh.
And so he would put his hand on a piece. If that was the correct piece, burn.
Oh, wow.
And then he would make the move, and there's only so many moves you can make per piece. If that was the correct move, burn. So he beat, statistically impossible, he beat the number 1 grandmaster in the world. So now he's saying not true. He's saying he will play naked in basically a Faraday cage. Says he's willing to do that.
Woo.
They're going to have to do butthole checks now.
Naked's not necessary. Faraday cage would be fine.
Squat and cough. But if you're that crazy, what about a surgical
implant?
Yeah. Like one of those little, the people get the Tesla key in their...
Yeah.
You could put it in the fatty part of your
RFID.
thumb there.
Although none of that's going to matter if it's a Faraday cage. And all
true.
the RF is blocked. All of it.
They should put them in... You know what would be amazing to watch? Is if we put them in underwater cages. And they had to play chess like that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And it's slowly filling with water as they go. They have to go quick. Speed chess.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, as long as you're thinking, your thing fills up. And then when you hit the clock, the other guy's thing starts filling
Ooh,
up.
that's kind of an interesting. I mean, they shouldn't do that because it's really dangerous, but that's kind of interesting.
Well, you can tap. Like if you hit a shunt and then the water all drains out, but you lose.
Okay.
And you have a guy way up at the top. Looking at the
So I
last
could
of us.
still win it.
Rook to 5. And is this too hot for YouTube?
I'll have to alter the title slightly.
Oh.
All right. Well, we'll give it to the masses. You know what? I forgot to put the too hot for YouTube stories from the other one on there.
We'll have to
right.
do goes up and shoot it separately.
We need to do a podcast anyway. We're behind.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll put it into that. But oh boy, and this was recorded. There's no question about is this a weird twist on the headline? No. This happened. This is a real thing.
Texas teacher on administrative leave after telling students to call the worst sort of person a minor attracted person, which I'm pretty sure the algorithm won't pick up. But
Let's get the quote.
good Lord.
Because the quote is just...
We're going to call them maps. It's like, ugh.
Ugh.
Why are we going to call them that?
Because they want to do that,
don't
and
read
that's
that.
the thing, and we cannot good Lord. And this is NBC News.
She is saying that those people should not be judged.
Sometimes judgment keeps you safe.
But here's the thing. If we're not going to judge people for that, what's left under that? What can we judge people for? We judge people for racism, right?
Yeah.
Is racism above that? I mean, I would think so.
Again, I think we're ready to call the Vogans and have them put in the highway. It's fine.
They'll probably be like, nah.
There's too much bad residual
Yeah.
vibes
Well, species
around that area.
preservation certainly doesn't matter anymore, right?
That would be kind of like, building on the Native American burial ground. We feel like the highway would be haunted by your
You guys are
horribleness.
so messed up. You've tainted this place in space.
I can smell you from over here.
We're thinking about just extinguishing your star, to be honest.
That would be a terrible way to go.
39 minutes, not bad considering what we were working with this week.
Yeah.
And it's such a nice day outside.
Oh, it's been a struggle all this week because it's been so beautiful out. It's like...
Do you do like my cats and go to the window and scratch?
Yeah, sometimes just look out and then I go back to my computer and cry a little.
Cry with us and join us next week when we do the whole thing again.
Yay! Bye!